Happy Friday, sixth graders. Here we go, the last of the notes. So I noticed through some of your emails that I did not realize that the document for your notes didn't completely match up with the notes over the convergent boundaries here, these last couple of slides. So as long as you got in the information as best you could, and especially this page that you see in front of you right now, as long as you have that information in your chart, that's what you really need to know. So you'll be good to go. Hopefully you still, even though you didn't have stuff to type, you at least just listen to me talk and explain it, because I think that helps as well. Okay, so let's go through and let's talk about the ring of fire here, which is on your notes there, in your notes document. And hopefully you noticed the ring of fire. The ring of fire is this area of frequent volcanoes and earthquakes that surround the Pacific Ocean. So it should be really obvious to you as you did the plate boundary map activities, especially because the Pacific Ocean was centered on that map. And so you hopefully saw this ring of fire if you didn't realize that's what it was and where it was before. Some of you might have already had some prior knowledge about it. But that's one of the reasons why that map puts the Pacific Ocean there in the center, so you can see that ring of fire. The reason why they call it the ring of fire is because of all of these volcanoes and earthquakes that are caused at these convergent boundaries. But the Pacific plate is all oceanic plate. So we already talked about, if you have one of the two plates colliding together, being an oceanic plate, then you know there's going to be subduction. And if you have subduction, you're going to have volcanoes. And we know that at convergent boundaries where plates are colliding, of course, you're going to have earthquakes. And so it should now make logical sense to us that the ring of fire there is at the Pacific Ocean and that you have all these volcanoes because the Pacific plate is pretty much all an ocean plate. There it is again. Subduction produces volcanoes. So if you can remember that, ocean plates, if one of the two in a convergent boundary is an ocean plate, then there's going to be subduction. Subduction for sure is going to cause volcanoes. And the other thing it's going to cause is deep ocean trenches too. But that doesn't really necessarily mean that it's going to contribute to a ring of fire, because there's not much going on with a trench that's going to cause something that you would think as a fire. So it's over 75% actually of all the volcanoes on our planet happen here. And there it is. And you can see it. Okay, it's kind of circular there, and you have the Pacific Ocean right here. We hear lots of some of the most devastating earthquakes occurring along the ring of fire as well. All right, that takes us to our last boundary, which is the transform boundary. Now, I'm not going to tell you that the transform boundary isn't special, because it is. It's just not as exciting in terms of the amount of stuff going on there, but it doesn't mean that it's not important, and it doesn't mean that it can't be destructive. So, in a transform boundary, you have two plates that are sliding past each other, and that's the key word. That's slide. Sliding past each other. That's an important way to describe it. And they're moving in opposite directions. So crust is neither created nor destroyed when this happens. So there's not seafloor spreading, and at a divergent boundary, there's not crust being destroyed with subduction at certain types of convergent boundaries. But it does produce earthquakes and faults are like cracks in the crust. And so those earthquakes can be just as devastating as any type of convergent boundary earthquake too. Our best example that we have is the San Andreas Fault, which is in Southern California. And there it is right down there. There's a picture of an aerial shot of it. So this is why sometimes people think the transform boundaries are boring, because you don't have any other type of geologic activity there. There's no trenches, there's no mountains, there's no volcanoes, there's no new seafloor. It's literally just earthquakes and faults. And so people sometimes think it's boring, but the earthquakes can be just as devastating as earthquakes other places too. Okay? we'll finish the rest of the notes when I come back next week. Hopefully, by the end of class today, you can finish the plate map activity. Make sure you hit the turn in button. And then I know that they put a list of things to work on as you're going through the rest if you finish early. So make sure that you're going through and you're doing all of that. And we'll talk about everything that you did this week when I was gone on Monday when I see you. So I'm looking forward to getting back. I've had a great time with my son Owen, but I'm excited to get back to see you guys and to see what you guys worked on and what you did. I will see you Monday. Have a good weekend.